is never going to end. Break with friends, break with friends, break with friends, let's do it again. Brett, he talks to people about stuff. He's the podcast man.
All right, this is the end of the year wrap-up special with Brett's with Friends Spectacular, the most 5 viewed Brett's with Friends episodes from last to first. We'll go now, and with honorable mention with the Will Smith indictment video to try.
Brett's with friends, Brett's with friends.
We want to take you back now to that breaking news that we just announced. Former President Donald Trump has been indicted by the Manhattan grand jury.
Mr. Trump will be the first former president to face criminal charges. The precise charges are not yet known, but the case is focused on a hush money payment to an adult film star during his 2016 campaign. Now, according to the New York Post, the felony indictment filed under seal by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and will likely be announced in the coming days. By then, prosecutors working for the district attorney will have asked Mr. Trump to surrender and to face arraignment.
Well, guys.
Which got over 1,200 views, which is awesome. And also the reaction videos and the movie reviews are really popping. But I wanted to stick to the top 5 of 2023 to the actual chit chats. And I do have more episodes coming up. We're not ending, we're not going, but it's a nice time to wrap it up and do the top 5. So with the top, okay, we're gonna go down from what a wild year, huh? It's been a crazy fucking year. Anyways, from 5th to 1st, we're gonna go with in 5th place is Madison Willow and Min Collins. Min Collins is a filmmaker, producer, writer extraordinaire. The light just hit me now. And Madison Willow is an Instagram girl who's getting into film and producing her own things and stuff like that. So a lot of creative talk. And here it is with Min and Willow at 81 views. All right, cool. Well, welcome. We've started the show. This is Min Collins and Madison Willow. This is my 92nd episode of Brett's with Friends. Welcome to the show. Nice to meet you, Madison.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, or nice to see you, actually. I've met you before.
Well,
hey,
this will be
hey, Madison.
Hey.
So you guys came on the show. Basically, this is unscripted podcast, so we're making it up as we go along. But I just get basically some familiarization with Min to the audience, and then to you, Madison, about how you met, but also I guess Min, start about where you're kind of coming from right now. You're a writer, director, producer extraordinaire. Madison, you are a Instagram star. Am I TikTok? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm an actress and an influencer.
Okay. Begin, Min, and then we'll go to you, Madison. Pick up where he leaves off.
Okay. Well, I'm a film director, producer, of course, writer, and I've been working in the industry for a while, over 15 years, I think. I have several feature films in my pocket, and working on a new project with Madison, and the project is called Fables for the Witching Hour. So we're excited about this one. I think it's going to be a fun. It's an anthology. Anthology, of course, are very hard to do, and there's always people that don't know what anthologies are. It's basically 4 to 5 different short films in the same genre. We're doing a horror genre. And then we have the wraparound show that ties it all together. And that's the one that I directed with Madison and also Lauren Kakowski.
Nice. And how did you, now you had a certain scenario when, we're going to get to you in Madison one second, but there's
take your time.
I know.
Take your time.
I'm also like, because Min's done a lot of different things in a lot of different areas of, making movies and stuff like that. How did you sculpt and find Madison? What was the arc of that? Because you had a template of an idea, this anthology, and then so what happened when you met Madison? How did that all happen? Why did you want to do that?
Well, the idea was to cast for the wraparound segment. Oops, sorry. Let me put this on silent. Of course, I'm I'm in an office, so lots of working people walking around and stuff. But hopefully, it doesn't interfere with the sound too badly. Anyways, yeah. So what we did was we went out and cast for this project, and for the lead, and we actually got a lot of submissions. It was around 600 or over 600 submissions, and we narrowed it down to the person I really liked, and Madison was one of them. And we had Madison do the reading for it, and I really liked her. So we had a personal meeting. I had a handful of people that I met with, and decided to go with Madison.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So you made the cut, Madison. That's you got to feel pretty good to make it through all those people.
I think she's
I made the cut.
Yeah, I think she's the next Scream Queen.
Perfect.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So Madison, tell us. Okay, he gave us his backstory. What's your backstory that led up to the moment that you met Min? How did you get into the entertainment industry? Tell us about, because the genre that you work in is a little bit, obviously more of a millennial sort of situation with the various outlets of creating content. Can you give us a little bit about how you started and what brought you into 2023 with Min Collins and me on this fucking podcast?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been acting for over 5 years. I'm from New York, but I moved to LA after I graduated high school to pursue acting. And ever since then, I've just been submitting to a lot of roles, working on a lot of projects. And I applied to Min's project, Fables for the Witching Hour, and I did the audition for it. And it's been really awesome. We had a great time filming, and I can't wait to see the movie.
How long did you guys film for?
So we filmed for there's 5 short films within the movie. So those were all filmed, probably took a longer time, but Min and I personally filmed just for 1 day.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all the coverage on that, Min? You feel pretty happy about that?
Well, I mean, our segment is not complete, because the idea is that we're going to do volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. So with that being said, our segment is going to be in between. So what happens is that we start our segment, and then we cut, and then we go to the first show, the first short film, and then we come back, and then we continue our story, and then we cut, and then we go to another one. And then so by the time the whole series is over, our show is just starting to develop. So that what happens is that after this movie, it kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and then we start the second volume of the anthology, and then we continue our story from there. So our story is going to continue throughout 3 anthologies.
It's sort of like the through line of the thread that connects everything together.
Exactly.
And now we're back. Okay, they're fun. I have to work with Min again. We did that kind of thriller where I played a stalker. Anyways, maybe I'll put a scene on. It's on my reel. Maybe I'll put that at the end of this thing. Let's see. And at number 4 is Michael Stone. Michael Stone's a kind of a improvisational actor, theater guy, can sing like a nobody's business. Really a super talented guy. I met him at the Fish concert with him and his friends and his girlfriend. Great guy. I hope to work with him someday. So here at 89 views is Michael Stone.
We're recording in progress. Got it.
Got it. Welcome to my 98th episode, Mr. Michael Stone.
Thank you. Are you welcoming me?
Yeah, you personally, the human that I'm talking to right now.
Or were you welcoming your audience? Welcome, you guys.
You can welcome the audience if you want.
I can welcome. Oh, that's so nice.
Sure, why not?
All right.
They're a motley crew, though. They're very disruptive.
Welcome, Brett's audience. We're glad to have you.
Okay, so
Yeah, motley crew, yeah.
Yeah, crew, yeah. You got a little Australian accent? Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah, motley crew, yeah.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a very, very busy man. And I'd like to do, it's a very casual situation. We're going to do like a past, present, future. First of all, I met you recently coming out of the Fish show, which was fucking amazing.
Yes. And it was my second Fish show ever. The first one was a year before. Same. No, the one a year before was at the Forum.
Oh, and how was that compared to this one at the Hollywood Bowl?
Well, actually, I liked the forum because I felt like the energy was more contained and therefore amplified. And I think I was tripping on some mushrooms, and I was like, wow, this whole place is alive. The weird thing is, I'm not even really a big Fish fan. Like, I never will just listen to them on my own, just because like their vibe is, I don't know. But when you're at a live show, it's a totally different experience. Would you agree?
I would. I gotta say, when I told people I went to the Fish concert, they said, "Oh, what songs did they play?" I was like, "I don't know. They're all
I
good."
couldn't name one. I couldn't name one.
I mean, I said the second. You went on Sunday. Yeah, we went on the same night when I met your friends and your lovely lady friend.
Yes.
And then we had an after party here. But like that was fucking amazing. Amazing. That was great. I mean,
That was a great night.
I don't know the names of the songs, but they were fucking great.
I agree. Yeah, my friend, I bumped into my friend the next day, Evan. He stopped by, and he was just like, "Oh, what'd you do?" I was like, "Went to the Fish concert." He's like, "Oh, I love them," because I think he was at the show last year, but we were not sitting together. So it's like we were both dancing at this concert, but like we didn't actually interact with each other. Anyway, so he was like, "Do you remember?" Like, he actually phrased it like this: "Do you remember one song in particular?" And I was like, "No, not even one." But I had a great fucking time.
Yeah, it was that energy. I mean, I went there like last time I saw him was like 15 years ago. I forget. That was wild. They did "Sexual Healing" as their closing song.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, they fucking blew the shit out of that thing, man. And the light show, incredible. Okay, so let's get Fish concert, great. They have I have their number. I'll always see them when I get a chance.
Yes, Fish, if you're watching, we love you, and we can learn your songs if we need to. But right now, we just love you as a jam band.
Same. So I'm gonna get into, you're a sketch performer, writer, director, but you also have another job that's that is your hobby.
Yeah, basically. Maybe my dream is to get into doing one or all of those things to make a living. But right now, I have a job I'm a software programmer, developer, engineer. My job title is software engineer. And I work from home.
Okay, so that's what's happening right now, presently. Let's go back to little baby Mikey.
Yes, I love little baby Mikey, and I want to know about little baby Brett too. I know you've probably introduced yourself a million times, but I have to get yours. In the course of this interview, I think we need to get each other's full stories. Oh, Yellow Hat, yes.
I'm gonna match you too. I also did the titles in yellow and blue for the Ukraines.
Yes, it's true. I have to show you that picture. I wore a yellow and blue suit to meet the previous Ukrainian ambassador.
Oh, we got to put that picture up right now. We'll edit it in right now.
Did I send you that picture?
You know, I've been so busy, I didn't see your emails.
I don't think I did.
I caught your film in Italy or something like that you did, where you're chasing people down and asking them questions. We'll probably show that video too.
Oh, nice. Here, I can send you that picture on my phone right now.
Well, I'm going to do editing on this anyway, so I'll put it up after.
Oh, okay.
This will be the point that we show it.
It's right here though. It's right here. Although the version I'm sending you this is such a nice Mother's Day gift. I basically had this, it was a book signing, and I got the ambassador to sign a copy of the book that I'm going to send to my mom. And then I got a picture of me and her and printed it out and like put it on the book sort of. And then I'm going to mail it to her for Mother's Day, which is just coming up, guys. Don't forget to shout out to your mothers.
Mother is a boy's best friend.
That's right. Mother's a boy's best friend.
All right. Moving right along. Chug, 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 chug. And at the third place is writer Meg Ryan at 96 views. And Meg's great. I met her for runs his art, his event, his green room over there, Wild Times. Meg's just a sweetheart. She's great. She's just you get the picture. Anyways, at 96 views, here's Meg Ryan, writer extraordinaire. Oh, there we go.
Oh, the UI on this, it's got it. I got it. That's a great, sorry, the message, the prompt, it's very concise.
Yeah, it's yeah, I like the easiness of Zoom.
Sure. Yeah. I'm often on Microsoft Teams myself. So it's all the same to me, right?
Let's get technical about that in a moment. But welcome. Thank you very much, Meg Ryan.
Yes,
for
hello.
being on my 117th episode of Blessed Friends.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
So I'm so thanks. I'm glad. I hope I wasn't bugging you too much, but I thought it'd be such a great conversation.
I let's do it. Let's get into it.
Okay, well, we're started. You're a writer,
Yes.
voice actress or actor. No,
No.
did you do some voiceover VO or you're writing?
No, I work in audio description, so
Okay.
I write the scripts for that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. Okay, I knew there was some sort of link. How long have you been in the industry? When did you were you a California native? Did you when did you where'd you grow up? We're go through a little past to present to future.
My whole deal.
In a
So
nutshell, not complicated. It's the fun parts, the easy parts, the fun, the inspirational parts.
I grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago, and I did that for a long time. My pet robot is going to be sounding off this whole time. So yeah, I did the Chicago thing. I moved out here at the end of college, so 2009, but I got pregnant right away and had to relocate back to Chicago.
Why'd you make that face when you said you got pregnant right away?
Because it was a big fucking moment. What can you show me the face I made and I'll tell you exactly. Yeah, I got fucking pregnant. I was 22. It was a big deal.
So it's a surprise.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. And so I'd originally come out here to write TV. That was my aspiration, but that was kind of unattainable. Having a kid on the way, went back to Chicago to be by family, had another kid. And at a certain point, I was like, well, that's it for my dreams. I'll just be here breastfeeding forever. And then I went, wait, that's dumb. I've actually got more to say now than ever. So I kind of dove into the Chicago comedy scene. And after a few years, it was clear I kind of had gone as far as I could in Chicago, and I needed to go back to Los Angeles. So that's kind of what brought me back here.
Okay, so when you went back and did some comedy writing in Chicago, I keep wanting to say Chicago, but or Chicago or whatever but like did you go to the Groundlings or not Groundlings? Who they Second City, or were you doing stuff over there? And what aspect of that, and how long did you do that for before you came back?
Sure. So I was at Second City in like the sketch comedy writing program. I took their regular courses and did like their shows. So they have like more intense conservatory, but I just was only really, I'm not a performer. I get nervous. So I focused on writing. I went over to IO in Chicago, which is kind of like a stepsister of Second City, and took more classes in television writing there. Just
What year was this?
2013 through like 2015, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of like it was just a lot of trial and error of like figuring out what my voice was, and it was also it was strange because I was with a lot of my peers, but none of them had children. None of them were young parents. So it was also kind of like finding that compromise of like who I am as the person, Meg, and then like what I have to say, and all my opinions then were kind of exclusively informed on like breastfeeding and what it's like to have toddlers and vaccines and stuff like that. But it was a great place to kind of spread your wings and figure out like who you wanted to be in the community as a whole.
Were those like writers' rooms, or were you guys in a theater aspect or scenario? Were you guys at a club or where they had rows and you guys were bantering back and forth and collecting notes, or what was that writer's room or that learning of that like, and what it looked like?
So
You
in
were doing that
general, it
program.
was like it was mostly so like the classes leading up to when you start putting on performances were all just kind of like in a dingy basement with like folding chairs. It wasn't particularly you know, fancy.
No.
And then when you got, then it was like, oh, you're going to put up a review. Okay, so now you're in a cabaret, you're in a black box theater. In Chicago is a great place to do comedy, like because people want to see comedy there that aren't in Chicago comedy. People come in it from out of town. What do they have at Second City? Sure, I'll see the cheap show. You can entertain somebody, you know, from Petoskey, Michigan. You can make them laugh. It's kind of like a nice feeling,
Well,
right?
that's the gold standard, right? But
Yeah, no, you got to get the
that's if you,
people from
if
the
they don't laugh at
UP.
your jokes, man, ooh, you gotta be really screaming at nightmares in the middle of the night.
But then let's see, I went through a more advanced like professional program after the general sketch program that was focused on writing pilots and specs and stuff like that, and that was like led by a former television writer, and those were more held like a writer's room where you kind of got like real-time feedback on your scripts, like you were dissecting things in a bigger way, uh both in the sense of like why did that joke work, but then also just the structure of like, you know,
Wow.
that type of stuff. 3 acts and act breaks and all of those things. Yeah.
Super technical.
Mm-hmm.
Does it drag the comedy out of when you're dissecting and like doing the like the cliff notes of what, you know, the structure of what makes jokes funny? Does it still do things still make you laugh today? What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? The dirtiest
Nothing.
things imaginable. Yeah, no, it's always something where I'm like, oh, I actually laughed at that. I just watched this show recently, which was the hardest I had laughed at any TV show in a long time, called Killing It. I don't mean to plug anything, but it was
Plug. I don't care. No one's watching this.
I
This is just for me and you, anyways. This isn't
okay.
nobody. There's nobody out there.
So I guess it's just like things that are in line with my sense of humor are going to play a lot on foibles. They're going to be pretty crass, and they're going to be pretty unapologetic in their point of view. And it's going to have a statement about something very fucking relatable. Killing It is a great example of that, because it's like just a commentary on like the gig economy, but in southern, like by the Everglades in Florida, where they like pay you to kill Burmese pythons. And
yeah.
you know, it's the equivalent of an Uber driver, but they're, you know, nailing snakes through the skull. You know, it's bizarre. It's a great show.
Fiction.
But
It's a fictional thing.
what I described, so it is a fictional show. It's a sitcom, right?
Yeah.
But what I've just described to you is real. In Florida, they do pay you to in a gig setup to kill Burmese pythons in the Everglades. Yes, because they're invasive and there's like 100,000 of them. I guess it's wild. So I laugh at that. I laugh at invasive species.
Oh, you're gonna love this video that I saw of a lion eating a gazelle and a hippopotamus eating it afterwards. You would love it. It's shot in the Ganges or something like that. You'd love it. It's completely hysterical.
I watch a lot of African. This is weird. I watch a lot of live streams of African wildlife. So like I generally, like while I'm working, will have like a live feed of like the Great Plains. And I really like it when a big elephant like gets in a standoff with a mighty lion. It's fantastic. It's a real treat.
I've been watching. I saw one where the elephant had a standoff with the rhino.
Hell yeah, that sounds like it's full of testosterone. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, the rhino. I think the elephant's just such an amazing. It's such a totem animal. It's such a, as in the way of like symbolism of things, and the elephant represents so much to. I really resonate with it on a high level. Almost get teared up a little bit because it's such a powerful, majestic creature that's very thoughtful and very powerful. But you know, I guess people are doing good things and then with them, and people are doing bad things with them. And this is where we have to live in harmony with nature. But it's like yeah, that rhino, yeah, rhino took off eventually. But the elephant, I've seen the ones where they stop the alligator.
Oh yeah, I haven't. So like,
there's a whole I'm not into like African gore porn. You know, I'm not into animal porn, like animal gore porn. I don't like that. Sometimes it comes up on my feed, and I get rid of it right away.
You
'Cause it's,
gotta,
hold
yeah.
on, hold on, hold on. What are we doing here? But
The algorithm will take you down some rabbit holes. You don't want to start that. Like,
no. My feed, I had to like change everything from like little from those. Like there's a few videos I saw that were pretty hardcore, but you know, but then changed it to bunnies and giraffes and like emus. I got a big emu thing and koalas and
there you go.
beavers, and we kind of flipped the algorithm, I think, on that. Hopefully.
I like to kind of make fun of giraffes because they deserve it, but also because they look like such assholes when they try to drink water. They like do full-fledged like Bambi baby deer, like with their it's ridiculous.
You don't think that's cute?
I mean, I think it's funny. I'm sure it's cute. I'm not actually like, look at
You'd
this
like
shit.
it if a lion came up right when from the water or something, like an alligator came up on it.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't want him to get eaten. I just think it'd be funny to see him have to like figure it out really quick and then, you know, gallop away, I guess, you know.
You know the story with the giraffe, right? You know I love the giraffe. It's like one of my totem animals. The giraffe, you know the story of how they got their long neck, right?
Tell me all about it.
As a writer, you don't know this? As a human being? Okay, so in a nutshell, the giraffe used to not have that neck like that. So what over evolution, it grew past its competitors, so that they had a source that their competitors couldn't get at. So they evolved past their competitors, which I always love that notion that no one was getting the food that they were able to get anymore. They didn't have there was no contest.
And then they just kept evolving.
Yeah.
They yeah, no, I mean that
you know,
checks out.
whales
That makes
whales
sense.
once walked on the land. You know that, right?
I know, I've seen that. Yes, I know
That's
about that.
crazy shit, right?
Yeah, it's wacky.
Okay, let me get this in. This is at the second mark. The second most viewed videos of 2023 is Martin Marks. That was a fun time. He's got his own audiobook. He's reading his book now. You can find him on your socials, Martin Marks. Great interview, old friend from way back. He's now into the realm of sort of podcast. I think it's podcasting because he's reading his book, his autobiography. So check him out. And this is the Martin Marks. All right. Shit. Fuck. We missed that. Okay. Anyways, now I'm recording. Okay, so a little bit of a false start there. Sorry, I haven't done one of these in like a month. It's been crazy. This is Brett's with Friends, my 91st episode with an old pal, Martin Marks. I haven't seen you forever. You look great. Let's see. Where are you at? I'm sorry. This is the first time I've ever messed up on a time. Where are you living?
Okay. I'm outside Boulder, Colorado, in this little town called Niwot, Colorado.
What are they? They must have some sort of name that they twerk with that to make it funny.
Oh, sure.
What do the locals call it?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody that comes here says Niwot, and the thing, Niwot, I guess there's a big statue of this Native American leader, chief, that was called Chief Niwot, and he was left-handed, so there's a bunch of left hands all over town. Arts, and you get to decorate them and all that stuff. It's one of those old 5,000 population, old America, you know, cute towns, you know.
Is it like a white town, or is it pretty multicultural, or is there?
Colo Whito, my friend said when I moved here, you know.
Is it red or blue?
Well, I don't think you get any more left than Boulder, but just outside Boulder, it seems to switch pretty fast and could go either way. I think more on the other side. So Boulder, hot spot for progressiveness. And then you don't have to go far. I think we're in a sort of in between this place called Longmont and Boulder. So we're sort of politically, everybody keeps quiet here.
Okay, so we're gonna backtrack. We're gonna do like a past, present, and future scenario. First of all, I haven't seen you in what, 20 years, something like that, 15 years. What is it, 11, something like that? Last time I saw you, I think I was in Venice Beach and I was selling artwork or something. I hadn't seen you for a while. My brain was in a few different places, and you came running up, Brett, and I didn't recognize you. I know I look different or something, right? And I was like, I hadn't seen you in like 5 years. I think I was like struggling. I was in a survival mode. And I was like, oh, Martin. Oh, but that was the last time I saw you. I think, right? Maybe.
Well, it's so interesting that we're talking because, and I don't mean to make a segue, but I'm working on, and I said, I'm working on this piece, and I sent Claude a screenshot of this 15 pages. Well, in my season 3 of my audio book, right? I have this website, martinmarksmusic.com, right? And so it's got my legacy or whatever, because it's so unknown. I figure I put it together somewhere.
Nice.
But my brother, a few years past, paid me to sit and write down my story. So I got to write 485 pages. I thought maybe I can't do a book, Brett. It's too much for me. So I wrote as well as I could, but I figure I can read it in. Like I think I'm okay with reading in as an audio book, or some people call it a podcast, whatever. 2 summers in a row, I released 10 episodes of season 1, and that was me growing up in Sweden, first band, moving to America with my brother, making all the mistakes you can make, playing the Hollywood clubs. Season 2 came last summer, 8 episodes, I think, and that was 92 to 95 in Stockholm, making 2 albums. My brother made an album. It was fantastic time in hard rock, and so that was cool. And I thought that got a little momentum with my friends in Sweden. There's been a lot of reunions since, I'm not saying, but I am excited about it. And now I'm working on season 3, and I got it edited now. I just got to read it in. But in there is our time. This is don't laugh. I'm not putting anybody out. Don't worry.
No, I think you should name names, because we're going to name names on this podcast, because everybody we know is going to be watching this. Some people we like, or they don't like us, or we had a tumult. We had the run of the mill of Venice back then, and to see where people have come, or they were, and where they are now, and people that still talk to each other, and the ones that don't. I've lived in LA long enough to have my friends become my enemies, and my enemies become my friends. So it's like it's a menagerie of tales and stories and people and characters.
Well, I think it's interesting because I was a few streets up from you on Thornton Avenue, and you were on Dudley, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And you were the artist, the painter that I got to come see. And you were a great host and this and that. Of course, with guys that can, maneuver and party and talk to people and everything, they sometimes we or whatever can get somebody saying like, oh no, Brett,
Oh no, everyone is very, very individualizedly characterized. It's just funny for me to see, because I'm going to be mentioning some people because I want to see a video that you did back in that time, and I want to get your permission to play it with Tisha and Bublinda. I want to say Melinda. I want to see that one, and Claude's in it as well. I want to play that video because it's such a time capsule.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a fucking good song. I mean, we're going to be getting to that, because so when you came from Sweden, how old were you to the States? And I'm going to backtrack because we kind of got a false start. You're a singer, songwriter, musician, vocalist, art teacher. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I just, it's just, I'm an adventurer and a writer. And music, sort of when I sing that as an early age, maybe 8, 9 or so, like people are like, ooh, he's got a nice voice. So, I stuck to that. Around 13, 14, I picked up the guitar. And by 14, 15, I joined a band. And by 16, we were in this national Battle of the Bands in Sweden, and the Battle of the Band was famous because Europe, the final countdown, if you remember those guys, they had won that kind of. Yeah, exactly. So we were, anybody came and one was going to follow in their footstep, become big in America. And so we were there. First year we got kicked out on the first, but second year we went far, big stadium and this kind of thing. And the paper, they should have won the whole thing. So when I was 18, to answer your question, me and my brother said, let's go see the Swedish record labels. We are ready. Let's go. Sorry.
Let's go.
I have such memories. I crack myself up.
It's funny. It's funny shit.
Well, we were a little too strong. Me and my brother wasn't Swedish by blood, so we had a little strong attitude for their sake. You should be a little more chill, not bring attention to yourself and those kind of things. But we said, let's go see those Swedish labels. I was 18, he was 19. I let him be in my band. I took a step back, I played bass and let him sing. And so we called and said, we got to come in and play you the demo. Oh, you can send it. No, we're going to come in. They're like, okay. So we booked the few. We hitchhiked on this big trucker. If he paid the meal, you can come with us to Stockholm. It's like, yeah. So we got there and we're sitting in the office with them listening, and they're passing. It's not for us, this and that. We're sitting with cowboy boots, long hair, leather jacket. This is 87, 88.
Yeah.
So the whole thing passes on us. We catch the last trucker out of there at 2:30 from the depot and get home. And my brother says, hey, you look so down, little brother. I said, what are we going to do, man? And this rock star in Sweden is Magnus Ax. He was in the band Swedish Erotica. He had told us in the restaurant, once the Swedish label passes on you, it will take years before you get a chance again. They never lose their job. So I was thinking, man, what are we going to do? And he's like, yeah, we figured I took up my favorite records. I turned them around and I looked for an address, and it said always something like, hey, Michael, Sunset Boulevard. That's where we got to go. and it took a few weeks. And then we had booked the ticket. And that's why we knew nothing about the town, nobody there. We just thought that seems like most record labels are there. So 88. Wait.
88. Whoa.
80, yeah, 88 we got there. And 88
How old are you?
80,
How old are you now?
Well, I'm born 70, Brett. How about you?
Really? I'm 69. 420.
See, that's what my brother was 69, 514, May 14th.
Okay. Taurus.
So, but yeah, so we exactly where you were at in your life. I think it was even 89, but beginning, and then we just touched down, him and I, trying to get to Hollywood, and we were going to find some band members and become famous.
And when you landed in LA and you'd never been there before, and you just saw it like out of a magazine, like this is the story, this is the beginning of the movie. Then you see the plane going across the sky, and then you land in there. And where did you move to first? And how much money did you guys have? Did you know what you're about to do, or it was just the gleeful naivete of youth?
Oh man, so the first even getting in, we were so naive, so green that they passed out the visa papers on the flight, and they said, where are you staying? Because you can't just be a vagrant
like everybody else in this fucking town.
You can't just grab a tent, you know what I'm saying? But we, being two crazy guys, we had met these two girls in Stockholm that said, we'll come and meet you at the airport. We had said, here's our time. Yeah, we'll be there. So what should we put address? They said, you can stay with us the couple first night. We don't know where they live, Michael. I know. Let's leave it blank. Yeah, let's do that. So we go up to the passport, got border patrol. He's like, why is this blank? So they take us into a room and blah, blah, blah. This stewardess comes by, looks in the room. What are you guys doing here? Now, again, Brett, we had the long hair, leather jacket that you could, she had probably like, that's too, interesting character. So she's like, what's going on? And we said, we didn't fill in. she took a pen and put Marriott Hotel, you know, and they came back in. What's going on? They're staying at the Marriott Hotel. Are you? Yes, we're staying at. So we went straight to the Marriott Hotel, you know, so scared. But then we made it up to Hollywood the first morning, got IHOP breakfast, thought that the butter, yeah, and we thought the butter thing on top was ice cream because it had that scoop. So we took a big bite each. But we found a motel on La Brea and Sunset, the Seventh Vale Motel, I think it's called, between Sunset and Hollywood. And Brett, we were looking for an apartment. I tell you, then the worst thing, we found an apartment on Las Palmas, and that little street that's before Franklin, that little corner up there north of Hollywood Boulevard, up Las Palmas. And
I think I remember that place. Or you weren't the only around that place that lived there, right? Other people were like around that area. Like
I'm sure.
Like who was the early heads? Like there was that guy Rome. Did you ever meet that guy? No, okay, that's outside. Because I started meeting you back in Venice, I think. But you had dodged. How did you make your way to Venice? How did you find? Because from Hollywood to that, like, because you're young, wild rock star, from Sweden.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay in Hollywood before? I mean, what was that? I'm sorry, I digress.
No, it was pretty much till till I was 25, till 95. I moved to Venice. And so before that, it was Sweden, Hollywood, you know, staying on all those streets, Poinsettia and Las Palmas and, you know, Wilcox and, you know, and try to play in the clubs there and then back to Stockholm playing clubs and trying to get it going. And then I thought, you know, like Hollywood sucks, you know, like, what, can't we live at that place we go on the weekends sometimes? What do you mean? That Venice place, why don't we live there? Why doesn't anybody live down there? And so I started, and then some friends of mine started moving down as well. And one of them, Ava.
Oh, yeah.
She was the one who introduced me to the gang. She's Swedish.
The circles are...
That's it.
Yeah. That was the connect. And at the number one mark of this crazy fucking year is Autumn DeVitri. Yes, Autumn, you are my number one most viewed chit chat video at 147. You said on the street that I should try to do it in some sort of different ways because I get more views. But I said, hey, 147 is good. I didn't know you were gonna be number one, so you're number one. So hopefully it counts for something. Somebody's watching this. I just got a response from your kid who said, hey, that's my mom.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, we've begun the path. I like to be in just right away.
Okay, perfect.
So welcome to the show. I'm with Autumn DeVitri. Did I say that correctly?
I don't know how you knew how to say that and pronounce that, but you did a good job.
Thanks. I usually am really bad at things like that. But, well, welcome to my 96th episode of Brett's with Friends. We're slowly getting towards the 100, which is going to be funny. Well, they're all funny. But so welcome to the show, and I usually do. It's pretty casual. It's unscripted, and I usually like to do a past, present, and future sort of thing, so we can kind of get up to speed where you've been, where you went, and where you're going, and where you want to go, and where you're at, and all that good stuff. So,
that sounds wonderful.
So welcome to the show. Cheers. I'm dealing with a margarita. I didn't know whether to go wine or margarita.
You're so funny. I saw your interview with Keith, and you were drinking a Stella. So yeah, I have my coffee.
Oh, nice, good.
With my black cat on the cup. So
nice.
You know.
Awesome. So let's begin from the beginning. Where were you born? Where are you? And I know that you're in the film industry. And this
TV and film, yeah.
This whole thing's about passions and creativity. That's the sort of the foundation of this podcast.
And so knowing that, let's begin when your Autumn was a small little child, and were you always looking to be creative? Did you have outlets? How did you find your voice creatively?
Okay, well, my dad says he knew. So my dad actually, unfortunately, has passed away, but he was an amazing artist. And he said he knew from the time he saw me at 6 years old. This is going to sound kind of crazy, but I was a roller skater and I competed in the way like that they do on ice skates. So, you know, the little costumes to the song, and you do the routine and the jumps and spins and everything. I did that from like 6 to about 15 years old.
Wow.
And I was very serious about it. I won nationals, actually. I'm a national champion. So for NARSA, there was 2 different groups. There was USAC and NARSA. I won for NARSA nationals. And yeah, I loved it. And that's what my dad said. He just knew, like, from the moment I would get out there on the floor, it was like I would just come alive and I just wanted to perform. And that was my space. That was what I did. I was dancing on skates, you know, I was telling a story to a song. And it's funny because he didn't tell me that till years later. And then I thought about it and I was like, wow, I guess you're kind of right. Because, you know, you're a little kid, you're growing up, you don't think about these things. Like, you don't think about what you're doing or why you do it. I'm an extroverted extrovert, pretty much. So, you know, anything with performing or being around people or anything like that, I love it. I mean, the more people, the merrier. So basically, long story short, I went to Northeastern University. I was a journalism major. I wanted to be the female version of Edward R. Murrow.
Earlier, the senator asked, upon what meat does this our Caesar feed? Had he looked 3 lines earlier in Shakespeare's Caesar, he would have found this line, which is not altogether inappropriate. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves.
I don't know if you know who he is. He was a very famous journalist.
Yeah. He's up there.
Yeah, like he's a legend, right? He's
Yeah.
the guy that started. He was a war correspondent.
It's like Walter Cronkite.
And became famous, during the war, the Great War, for reporting from London, and then television came in, and then he started being a TV news correspondent. Anyway, I wanted to be that person, and, you know, be on my soapbox and tell the stories that nobody would tell, and make a difference and change people's lives. And I got into local news.
Really? Wait, I want to interject. So going from skating to journalism and broadcast news,
So I
what
went
was
to
that
Northeastern
leap?
University in Boston. Yeah, I went to
sorry?
Northeastern University in Boston, and I studied. I went to school there, and then what happened was, where I went to school, they had what was called a co-op program. So it made it a 5-year program, but basically what it was 6 months out of the year you'd work in a job related to your field, and 6 months out of the year you'd take classes. So for a co-op, one of the co-ops I got was working for this company called World Affairs Television in Montreal, Canada. And it was working for this absolutely insane executive producer. But the work and the shows were amazing. I was doing a show called The Editors. It was hosted by Keith Morrison, who's on Dateline NBC. And basically it was 3 Canadians, 3 Americans talking about that week of what happened in that week in Ottawa and what happened that week in Washington, DC. And it was just so interesting, the guests and people we would get, you know, like the president of the Olympic Committee and the president of ABC News. And, you know, I mean, I'm like 21 years old and meeting these amazing people and then having dinner with them. So the experience changed my life, and it just made me decide that, okay, I want to be a journalist. I want to do this. So I ended up going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, because if you do want to be an on-air journalist, you have to start at smaller markets. Albuquerque isn't small, but it's a kind of a medium-sized market, but it's not big either. It's not in LA or New York. So I went to Albuquerque, and
from Canada, from Ottawa.
Yeah, from Montreal, I went to Albuquerque. This is true.
And you're what, 22 years old at this point?
Like
and were
20.
you doing in Canada, were you in front of the camera or behind the camera or both?
No, I was behind. I was producing. So I started off as an assistant to the executive producer. And this is true. I mean, you'll get this reference probably, but have you ever seen the movie Swimming with Sharks?
No, but I heard of it.
Okay, you should watch it. It's actually amazing. My executive
Well, is
producer.
Kevin Spacey in it?
Yeah, it's Kevin
Oh, he's
Spacey.
amazing. No.
It's amazing. Yeah, no.
He was
about a psychopath who literally beats the heck out of his employees, and that's who I worked for. But here's the thing. The key was he was absolutely insane and the most horrific boss that I will ever have in my whole life. But it was the first person I ever really had as a boss. I mean, before that, I'd had internships, but this was actually like a paid job, my first real paid job doing something in production. He was such a nightmare that everything since has been easy. Like, he almost killed me.
Yeah, you had it was the hardest part was first. How was he how was he a taskmaster or a slave driver? What was it? Give us some
honestly examples. His name, well, I don't know if I should say it, but his name, well, I'll say his first name. His name was Larry. Larry hated everyone. It didn't matter if you were a boy or a girl. He would call us Gumbies, because Gumbies, Gumbies, like, you can stretch a Gumby and do whatever you want with it, do whatever you want to do to it. And he would scream at us, like, if we'd get anything wrong, and he was this little terrorist just running around the office.
Was he an older gentleman? Was he an older gentleman? Something of an older?
He's older. He had dual citizenship between Canada and America, but he made these amazing shows. Like, he did this show called The Directors for Bravo, and
I've heard of that. That's a big show.
Yeah, well, we did that show. My friend executive produced it. Like, I mean, so we got to meet, like, Richard Linklater and Shaker Kapoor and Wes Anderson. And, like, these are all the guests that my friend got on. I'm not responsible for that. That was his show. But, he had amazing shows. So the thing was, if you could actually allow Larry not to kill you, the bonus was I literally every other week was flown to Montreal from Boston, as a kid in college. Like, once I finished the co-op, he then would fly me every other weekend. He'd pay me my full rate, which I can't remember at the time what it was, but at the time it was a lot of money to me. Nice. Put me up in a hotel. I would fly in Friday afternoon, stay Friday night. We would and prep for the shows with what they needed to finish. We'd shoot tape all day Saturday. And then
like 12, 14-hour days, 12, 14 hours.
This is like 16? A 12. Yeah, this is like a 12-hour day. Because he did a bunch of shows too that were evergreen. Like, he would do shows like called like on euthanasia, right? Where he'd recycle a lot of the guests. So, like, the show I was telling you about, The Editors, that he had all these guests on, maybe he would use the president of ABC News, maybe ABC just did a story on euthanasia or something, and so he would put him in that show too. Or so they would just kind of mix these people around. So there's usually about 15 to 20 people that came, and we'd shoot like 6 shows in a day. The only one that was topical and the only one that went out to CBC News World was The Editors, the news one that was, that week, talking about what was going on in Ottawa, and that week what happened in Washington. So that was the only one that went out and aired that night. Everything else, you can air it at any point. I mean, It's crazy. Like, we were doing shows on terrorism, like, before I even really knew or thought about terrorism. This is before 9/11, right? So, like, this is when it's not even on my map. And I'm, in my early 20s thinking, why are we doing shows on terrorism? Which is kind of crazy. But anyway, the point is, I didn't let Larry break me. And because he didn't break me, I got to reap all the benefits. So I got to become friends with Keith Morrison, the host. So then all of a sudden I got to go and work at Dateline NBC. And that's how I got out to California from the East Coast. I came out to work at Dateline. And then it was things like that. It really, I learned so much from that experience. And I just can't believe how amazing it was, because it was very bipolar in a way, in the sense of that it was so amazing and so good, yet at the same time we were getting extremely verbally abused, and it was awful. If that makes sense. Like, no, it was very,
how do I phrase this? How do you manage to operate in that corporate structured environment back then? How'd you deal with it? Were you just made for it, or like, because it's a big, like, I was talking to Keith a little bit about that, that's, the documentary world and dealing with people in clipboards and stuff like that. Like, how it sounds like a fucking nightmare. How was it?
It does, but then at the same time, again, this is what I'm telling you. There's this whole other side to it that was absolutely amazing. The fact that I was like in my early 20s and having access to, like these people with these insane accolades, Nobel Prize winners, Maya Angelou, like, I mean, people like that were coming on these shows, right? So,
yeah,
and I would get to go to the airport and pick them up. And then I'd have, 45 minutes driving them back to their hotel, and I'd get to talk to them and get to know them. And then, and then I'd shoot with them all the next day. And then I'd get to go to dinner with them, like I literally had dinner with these people.
What was Maya Angelou like?
Oh, absolutely amazing.
Can you tell us a story?
Absolutely amazing. I wish I could say that there was some, like, I mean, honestly, I didn't get a ton of time, like,
whatever time you did have, what was the exchange?
Just very kind and gracious, and just seems so wise, like I'm this young, like bouncing off the walls, kind of like blonde haired, blue-eyed, like kid. It's like, and she was just so calm and cool, and just like it was like her, and all kinds of people, like Jim Sciutto from ABC News, and like Tavis Smiley, and all these people would come, and they'd be on the show, and like the editor-in-chief of like The Economist magazine and Time magazine, and so I was exposed to these people at a young age, and for some reason, I think maybe I wasn't smart enough to understand who they were, because it didn't faze me at all. I mean, so honestly, I think my naivete played to my strengths, because it just made me be young and fun, and hey, how are you, and excited about it, excited about them. Like
you didn't have the wall yet.
There was no wall. I didn't even understand what a wall was, to be honest. Like that, I wouldn't have known what it was if it would have hit me in the face at that point in my life. Like, and then I wouldn't even have known that I didn't even know that. Like, so
yeah,
but it was, I mean, it was fantastic. And I just learned that how much I love interviewing people and how much I really enjoy producing. And then from there, I thought I wanted to do local news, which is why I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I hate to stop you.
Sure.
But what makes a good interview?
You know what? Honestly, I think that it's good to prepare a bit to just kind of have a background and kind of know, and so you have a general place and area and way to start. But truly, I think that what makes a good interview is just really being able to engage and connect with the other person. Really listening. You have to be a good listener to be a good interviewer. You have to really listen. And you just exactly. And I think just being open to it, and open to them, and open to the process. I'm a pretty open person, and it's worked well for me for doing interviews, because people usually seem to warm up to me and, feel comfortable, right? Because that's the most important thing, is make them feel comfortable so they can just really talk to you and forget that it's really, that they're doing some interview, instead of saying the sound bites that they feel like they're required to say, or they're trying to hit, because
that's what we grew up with in our generation, or I'm probably older than you for sure, but like it's like we grew up with the panel, the Johnny Carson classic, all these different, and there was a situation where it was like, okay, we got 10 minutes, boom, 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 pull up, plug, get your joke out, whatever. And I grew up on that format too, but it is interesting. And because I've never really been I'm a painter, and I make little movies and stuff like that. And now this, but like, it was like, it's interesting, because if you're learning while you're doing it, that's a win-win. Like, so that's the engagement 100%. Of it, because I'm really interested in what you're saying. And if you're not engaged, or if I'm not engaged, then the audience isn't going to be engaged. But also that it seems like I like this format, which is basically, college radio on acid.
Mhm.
Just it's
I love that. That's awesome.
it's because we can do anything we want. When
Right.
I grew up, we couldn't sample, we couldn't use anything. We were gonna get
Right.
sued everywhere, in film school. But like it takes about 10 minutes or so for things to kind of like gel.
Right.
And I find when after, because we've never met before, I just heard about you through Keith briefly, and but like it takes that little momentum to have its little voice, and you get into this nice little pattern of chit chat.
Yeah, no, completely. And it becomes a conversation. That's the best thing you can possibly do is in an interview is have a conversation that you care about, and that the other person cares about. So, because if they don't care about it, it's not going to be exciting, I mean, so, I'm passionate about this. So of course I'll, I was excited to talk to you and do this today because
Thanks.
this is what I love doing, So
Well,
it's
I'm
like-
osmosisizing from you. I'm osmosisizing from you. Hopefully I can get that spark as well. So like that's interesting. So do you okay, so you're still in this world. Now, I did do a little IMDb on you because you've been working for such a long time, and you're doing these cheerleader things. Was that a thing?
No, yes. So I
it seemed like there's a
created
few different
show-
versions of that or something that
Yes.
was going on.
So I created a show. So in 2012, I company called Awesomeness TV. At that point, I just come off of a show called The X Factor. I did The X Factor season 1. It's a Simon Cowell music television show. And honestly, the way that it was run and the way that it was produced, it wasn't a pleasant environment per se. So I didn't want to leave my career altogether, but I didn't know what to do. And, and I was talking to a friend of mine, way smarter than me, named Dan Marita, an editor friend. And I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, Autumn, I think you should find a full-time job. And I said, but Dan, everything is freelance. There are no full-time jobs. And he said, well, look into new media. And I was like, what do you mean?
Hold on 1 second, because somebody just tried calling me and my phone is hooked up to my thing, and so I can't see you. I'm
Sure.
trying to find you right now. Oh God, give me a second. Because somebody just called, and did you know what? Have you had that? Sorry, sucks. Where are you? Are you there still?
I am here.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Sorry. There you go. We got it. Somebody called my phone and it got hooked up to my computer. My Apple, they're communicating with each other, and I don't know how to stop it. Anyway,
Do you know
so
what's
I digress.
hilarious?
What's that?
You know what's hilarious? I got to show you one thing real quick. I
Okay.
don't know if he's going to move or not. But the way I'm doing this interview, my cat, because he always wants to be where I am,
Yeah.
is literally right.
Oh, nice. Oh, hi, little boo-boo. Hi, little sweet thing. Hi,
That's
little sweet.
Catachy. Leonardo
Oh.
Catachy, he has more Instagram followers than me. He has his own
Nice.
Instagram page and he has more followers than I do. So just saying.
Well, my Instagram is now slowly becoming just National Geographic and animals and platypuses and zebras, and it's crazy. Hey, there's a magazine. This is a interesting. Okay, sorry, I because I want to hear what you just said because I blanked out. But like, do you remember like before the internet and magazines and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And did you ever go to like a newsstand and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I'm 45 years old, so
Okay.
yes, I remember all of that.
Do you remember when they invented the wheel? No.
Yes, I do.
We have more episodes, more shows. If you want to help support me, buy my art, go to brettwoods.com, brettwoods22 on Instagram and TikTok. Buy my art. I'm not monetizing this otherwise. I've been painting and drawing all my life. Check out my website, brettwoods.com. Help fund me. I've got a featured art comedy that I'm looking to get financing for. So let's work together. And 2024 is going to be a fucking good year. Good year for 2024. I feel it. So I'm just going to keep on painting and making my little movies and podcasting. And, if you ever want to work with me or want my paintings, get a hold of me. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. Enjoy your holidays. And Happy New Year, early New Year. Sometimes I don't know why I do that. I give an early New Year sometimes. But yeah, feeling strong, feeling healthy, doing laps, and got a lot of dental work done, and just looking forward to 2024. You know, it always gets a little cerebral for me around this time of the year because it's kind of the end. But new beginnings. Cheers. Keep on watching. Push those likes, subscribes, and keep on sharing. And when you're on the show, you know you can share it to your socials too. You know, you can do anything you want with this stuff. Anyways, hey, thanks a lot for watching and keeping interested in Let's Just Boldly Go, where no podcast or filmmaker or artist has gone before, and try to do fun things, interesting things, unique things, be authentic, and never afraid to tell the truth, speak your truth, live your truth. Cheers.
It's good to be the king.